It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for November 18th, 2022. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, ladies and gentlemen, authorities have finally apprehended the criminal mastermind responsible for Balan Wonderworld. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host, the Game Mess Mornings. It's Tamoor Hussain, everybody. Tam, how are you doing?
We got him.
We got him.
We finally got this.
Got him on. I'm trying not to cry.
That's been on the loose after unleashing the worst plague onto mankind.
Sonic the Hedgehog, he got away with it.
In many years.
Billy Hatcher, he got away with it.
He got away with it.
Balan Wonderworld, we said this far, no further.
This is too far.
This is too more. The line must be drawn here.
Yeah. Here we are.
Here we are. We got him. We'll explain all that here in a second. Boy, that's a real mess over there. But yeah, Tam, how are you doing, man? It's Friday. I was like leaning back, and I was this close to like, I'm just gonna do the show leaning back. I don't care. I was real close to doing it.
I am tired. I've been working a lot. You can see it in my eyes. Look into my eyes.
Yeah, I'm looking. Ooh,
but I am happy that a criminal has been apprehended, and the world is a little safer now.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know, just a little bit safer.
I mean, listen. Imagine him like running a gang in prison and being able to like release Balan Wonderworld 2 while incarcerated?
No.
It could happen.
No, I don't like that. It's the new season of Prison Break. Is Yuji Naka developing a Balan Wonderworld sequel in prison?
All right, we should just get into this.
He walks in and he's got design documents as a tattoo on his back.
That's real good. Okay. Before we get into this, let's explain what we do here. Each weekday, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. Hello, Twitch. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. Shout out to the RSS gang out there. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Okay, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Sonic creator Yuji Naka has been arrested for insider trading. This comes from Ollie Welsh at Polygon. Yuji Naka, the co-creator of Sonic the Hedgehog and former head of developer teaming Sonic Team, has been arrested for insider trading in Tokyo. The news, first reported by Japanese news site FNN, has been corroborated by Asahi Shimbun newspaper in an English language report. Naka is alleged to have bought stock in developer Aiming in early 2020, and that was based on insider information that it would be developing a Dragon Quest mobile game called Dragon Quest Tact. At the time, publisher Square Enix's partnership with Aiming on the game was not yet public, and Naka was working at Square Enix on the ill-fated platformer Balan Wonderworld. The Special Investigations Unit of the Tokyo District Public Prosecutor's Office, which made the arrest, said that Naka had bought 10,000 shares in Aiming for about 2.8 million yen, which is about $20,000, after learning about Dragon Quest Tact in late January 2020, before the announcement of the game, and which happened the following month. The assumption is that he was hoping to profit from an increase in the share price after the announcement and release of the game, although based on current reporting, it's unclear if he actually did end up selling those shares. He's not the only one to get arrested. Yesterday, we reported 2 other former Square Enix employees who did the same thing and did sell their shares. I guess we haven't heard one way or the other when it comes to Naka himself. But yeah, this is it's insider trading. You're not supposed to do this, and I don't super duper care. Like it's like
no,
yeah. This is rich people's like.
Rich people crimes.
Yeah, rich people crimes. Yeah,
it doesn't. I heard that when they busted in, he tried to get away, but the big mistake he made was instead of just immediately running, he crawled into a ball and kept spinning really fast to try and get more like momentum.
I mean, listen,
it
works in video
so
games.
long that they just arrested him.
Yeah, what you got to do there, if you're in Yuji Naka situations, you got to jump up and then spin into a ball so you hit the ground and just go. But
you got to bounce off every police officer until they're all gone. And then you're safe. Yeah.
Or keep like a Speedy Shoes power up right next to you. Absolutely.
Exactly.
I mean, listen, he's arrested. We'll see if this like ends up with any jail time. These things are still like yet to be determined. I have no idea how serious they are about this in Japan. I guess we'll find out because we'll follow the story. But Yeah,
I think they are. I think they are like pretty serious.
I would imagine they're pretty serious, right? Yeah.
I mean, like as far as crimes go, like we said, it's rich people crimes. Like it is not even rich people crimes. It's people trying to get rich crimes in a way that's just like, okay. So a company was the victim is a corporation. Good luck to them. I don't care.
Exactly right. Yeah, it's like who are you allowed to steal from? Well, not corporations. My god,
we must protect the corporation.
Yeah,
whatever,
and even it's like a vague grouping of corporations because it's. I mean, like and other investors is really, I suppose, who you're trying to protect here in the end because you want investors to have confidence in the system. And I get having to protect it. I get all that stuff. It's just. Yeah.
I just love the idea of a special investigations unit doing all the work on this, and I would love to be a fly on the wall. Just every now and then, someone at a desk going, "So this is the Sonic guy? This is Sonic guy?
He makes
we
Sonic.
have to arrest Sonic guy?
Yeah.
Are we sure we have to do this?
Man,
that would be funny.
Made him kiss that woman. That was great. Because I love that." Very important to my upbringing.
Yeah. Knights guy, Knights. You played that? You didn't play that? Oh yeah. No one did. No one did.
Right. Yes, I mean they got him. And what do we do now? I guess, like I said, we'll keep track of this story. Square Enix did comment on it, and they said today some media outlets reported that the former employees of Square Enix were under investigation for suspected insider trading. We have been fully cooperating with requests from the Securities and Exchange Surveillance Commission as the investigation by the Tokyo District Prosecutor's Office is underway. We will continue to fully cooperate with the investigation. We deeply regret the great concern this has caused to all concerned. We have dealt with this incident strictly, including internal disciplinary actions taken against the suspected employees.
I love the idea of no, I don't love it, but like here's what I'm thinking. Right? Yeah, Yuji Naka in jail, in Japanese jail, and like suddenly like one of the officers comes on and like smacks on the cell. They're like, Naka, you've got some mail, and they hand him like a note, and Yuji Naka uses his finger to rip it open, and it opens as paper. It's a very old advert from the 90s, a magazine perhaps. He unfolds it, looks in it, and it says, Sega does what Nintendo don't. Signed, Miyamoto.
Got him. It's just been it's been such a long play. He got him in the end. Yeah. You don't fuck with Miyamoto. God, that's real good. I mean, honestly, that's almost certainly what happened here. I don't think we can deny it. It's too good. Yeah.
We are making fun of this because it's just like,
what are we supposed to do?
What are we supposed to say about this? Huh? What are we supposed to do about this? We're gonna have to say you don't fucking do insider trading.
You're right. It's like you just don't do this. Like you're like everyone knows. Like if you have money, you
don't
know.
Do it.
Yeah, just don't do it.
Someone tried to make a lot of money by being sneaky, used the cheat that he shouldn't have done, and the law was like, you're not allowed to do that one, and we're gonna put you in jail for it, right?
It's like I guess it's not a victimless crime, but I have a real hard time imagining who the victim is. So it's just stupid and funny. That's all it is. Yeah. And the guy did make Balan Wonderworld, so there is some cosmic justice out there. Yeah.
Yeah. At the very least, we know there won't be a Balan Wonderworld sequel.
I mean, God,
for a while.
I hope so.
I think the intro wasn't there like a story a little while back where people were like explaining why Balan Wonderworld was a mess, and it was like, mismanagement, and wasn't it Yuji Naka saying like, oh shit, I was done dirty.
Yeah.
And that's why Balan Wonderworld.
Yes. He's done that a couple of times. Yes.
Yeah, but it's like, homie, I don't know, man. You just give it up. Just give it up. Yeah. I think you're cooked. You're done. You did some good shit. Now you're done.
And it's, blaming Square Enix for some bad games, I think is a convincing argument a lot of times. But Balan Wonderworld was never going to be good based on the way that they were going, the direction they were going with that game.
I mean, he lived up to what people wanted with him. He made a 90s ass video game. Yeah. And in that, he made a shiter from the 90s.
Yeah. There was another tweet. It's like, Sonic Frontiers came out, and it's like it had more than just the jump button or just one button like Balan Wonderworld did, and then immediately Yuji Naka gets punished. And it's like, there's some cosmic justice happening out there. All right, let's keep moving. The director of Fallout New Vegas would be open to working on the series again. This comes from Tom Ivan at VGC.
Let's go, Josh. Let's do this.
During an interview with Kinda Funny Games, Obsidian's design director was asked about his experience making 2010's Fallout spinoff New Vegas and whether he might one day return to the series. He describes New Vegas as a crazy development because it was only 18 months, but one that was super fulfilling and super fantastic. I love Fallout. I love the setting. I could see myself working in it again, but we'll see where the future takes me. Sawyer was also asked what his dream setting for a new series entry might be. I'm not really sure, he responded. I haven't thought about it in quite a while because, again, it kind of came into my life and then floated away. In the past, I've said, people have talked about New Orleans. I do think California or the Midwest would also be very interesting.
London, mate.
He also mentioned people have talked about other settings outside the United States, and he's kind of curious about that as well. I personally think this does happen. I think this happens.
I didn't really have a instant or like a feeling on it either way up until I played Pentiment.
Mm-hmm.
And I played Pentiment, and I'm still playing Pentiment, and I'm liking it a little more now. I started off and I was like, I don't know if this is for me, and I don't think it's gonna blow me away, but I think I'm getting to a place where I'm enjoying it a bit more and I'm intrigued. And I played it, and I was like, this game, top to bottom, is so specific and so niche to someone's interest that the only way it gets made is if it's part of some sort of bargain.
Yeah, a one for me, one for you.
Yes, I was like, this is a one for me, one for you. No way a game like this is made in 2022 without someone going, all right, do your weird historic murder mystery art game, but the moment you're done, you are making Fallout New Vegas 2. And like, I am convinced that there's going to be some sort of like, Josh is working on a game that is like extremely marketable. And this is the price, not price, but this is part of the bargain that he paid.
I was 100% going to ask you, is this a one for me, one for you? I also agree.
1,000,000%. I think like it is phenomenal and amazing that Pentiment exists. Like, and a lot of people really love it, and I'm very, very glad that he and the team got to make it, because it is it is top to bottom a work of like a pure passion.
Yes,
and there's like things in there that I'm like, this is in here because someone really gave a shit about this idea, like super cared about this idea, and it shows. And then I stand back from it, and I'm like, this whole thing is just a one for me, one for you bargain. It has to be.
He talked a little bit about it because he's been doing the rounds. The game is out, so he's been doing a couple of shows. On another show, he said he never even would have pitched it had it not been for Game Pass. And I think that is part of the answer, but it's like it's not complete. Like, yeah, you can feel like you can do it because Game Pass changes the incentives. But that's still not exactly why people give you the green light, right?
No, it still costs money to make it, regardless of the mechanism you're using.
Least, yeah.
Regardless of the mechanism in which it's distributed, it is still Microsoft or Xbox or whoever is in charge of the bank, and the money purse still has to make a kind of like judgment based on this is going to cost us money. It's going to go on Game Pass. It still means, money goes into it. It's not as simple as anyone can make anything because it's going on Game Pass. No, that's not how it works. Mm-hmm. So there's more to it for sure. But still, I definitely believe when he says, he made it because of Game Pass.
Yeah, and I think that, I've heard previously, I've reported this, nothing new to report on that front other than what he's saying here, but there have been early talks about Obsidian working on a Fallout as a follow-up to New Vegas of some sort. They're very early, but it's like everyone got in the room and said, yeah, we probably should do that. And of course, the problem was who could make it. All these, like, Obsidian's very, very busy. They were working on Pentiment. They were also working on Grounded, and they're working on The Outer Worlds 2, and they're making Avowed, right? This is a busy, busy team. But it's like, well, you just finished Pentiment. And you are the guy that made New Vegas, and you did one for you. Mm-hmm. Now it's time, or one for me. But now it's time to do the one for you. A lot of things are just lining up. That's all circumstantial evidence, but it's on top of directly hearing from good sources that the conversations have happened months ago that they want to do that, and that would happen before a Fallout 5, almost certainly from Bethesda Game Studios proper. So I'm hopeful. He says, I'm a big believer in finding things that obviously I have to be passionate about as a director, but also that the team is really excited about, and also that works within the larger idea of the property. I love Fallout. I love the setting. Let's see, I read that already, but working on something like Pentiment, which is just its own thing in the middle of nowhere, I can kind of make decisions more or less however I want. But when it's part of a larger IP and franchise, it has to kind of work within a larger vision of what is Fallout. And I don't get to decide everything about that. It's not my thing. So yeah, I think there's a lot of cool, and then he talks about other places, but it's like, man, that sounds very one for me, one for you. And I know we're harping on that, but I don't, it fits.
Fallout Japan.
Sure. I think
Fallout Tokyo, like that would be cool. I would love that.
I think if they do another off the beaten path Fallout that isn't from Bethesda Game Studios, they probably should move it outside the United States for one. Although, hey, listen, do it Midwest, do Cleveland. Let's go. No, they just did West Virginia. They're not. I don't think they would go kind of Midwest after doing Appalachia, but we'll see. Embracer Group reveals mysterious and transformative 6-year deal.
Mysterious.
It really is. This is from Stephen T. Wright at GameSpot. The gaming conglomerate Embracer Group recently released its interim Q2 report, and it revealed a quote-unquote transformative 6-year deal with multiple partners. However, it's not clear who these partners are or what this deal will actually involve. According to the report, Embracer Group expects the whole or parts of this 6-year transaction to close during the financial year. The partnership apparently covers a range of large budget upcoming games, and Embracer expects it to improve predictability, lower business risk, and provide a positive impact on our cash flow and profits. The apparent blockbuster deal is a ray of good news in a report that featured a few negative revelations. Obviously, we talked about yesterday how Saints Row developer Volition is merging with Gearbox, and how basically they're looking around, they're like, hey, we might have to start spinning things off to take advantage of a Swedish tax law, because otherwise, things aren't looking super bright. That's all of the stuff from this report. That's like all we know. It's weird. Yeah. Embracer continues to be this anomaly, this enigma. Tam, do you have any insight here? Do you have any idea what this could be?
No. I mean, like, it sounds like they're saying they've got a girlfriend, but she lives in Canada. Like, it's massive. Like,
absolutely.
It's like, trust us. Wink, 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 wink. And like, I do believe that they do have a big deal, but the kind of lack of information around it obviously is not great. It makes perfect sense that they have something like this, considering the amount of properties and studios that they have under their belt. Like, they're gonna be approached by any number of like IP owners and other companies that are like going to be interested in working with either their studios or IPs that they own. And similarly, they're probably shopping a lot of those IPs out and like shopping around some of their ideas that they want to get made to third party, internal or external studios as well. So I'm unsurprised. Embracer Group is now like big enough that it plays in a field with other major like corporations, and when you go to, I don't know, you go to a Fox and you're like, hey, we want X IP, which is, your massive movie franchise. Like they're in a position now to have a seat at that table and have that conversation in a serious way, in the same way that a company like EA can negotiate licensed properties and Activision can negotiate licensed properties. I think like Embracer is a company that we, for the longest time, wouldn't have put into that thing. Like, I would never have said who was going to get the Star Wars IP next, for example. Like, we wouldn't have said Embracer up until now. Right. Where now they have a massive and they bought
the Lord of the Rings IP and stuff like
exactly. Like that's got a huge amount. That has to be like a major part of it as well, the Lord of the Rings IP part of it, because everyone's always trying to make Lord of the Rings stuff, know. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, we've partnered with X company to do so much Lord of the Rings stuff that you will be sick of it.
I think that's exactly right. I mean, that's the only thing I can honestly think of is it's some big licensing arrangement, some big deal with an outside company that has a bunch of IP they want to work with. As part of this, or in the wake of this, Gearbox, one of the Embracer Group embracees, acquired the Risk of Rain IP, which is was a sort of growing indie IP that started as this 2D thing where 4 people get together and work together in this space and go on runs together. And then in the second game came out and it was a 3D first-person shooter and it was becoming super popular. But then that studio's like, yeah, I guess we'll sell it to Gearbox and cash out. And now Gearbox has that IP. So it's like they are still gathering up IP. And to me, that's like, yeah, they're like, yeah, they have Lord of the Rings. Maybe they will find a way to partner with someone else. Or maybe they'll go say, hey, let's go get the X-Men IP or some weird shit like that. Who really knows what it could be specifically?
X-Men Destiny 2, let's go.
Fucking hey, here we go. You know what? Dennis Dyack probably already does work at Embracer Group, almost certainly. Just somewhere in there, there's just a Dennis Dyack just floating around.
He's not at a studio, is he?
No, almost certainly not. I know, probably.
Surely
not.
He's not. I mean,
no, but I mean, like just by like the law of large numbers, like they've acquired so much. Dennis Dyack probably just doesn't even know he works for Embracer, but he probably does.
Yeah. Silicon Knights is gone, right?
Oh yes, very much so. Yeah.
Okay.
They
I just
fell
wanted to
apart
make
when
sure
they tried to do that Eternal Darkness, a spiritual successor.
Yeah.
They did the crowdfunding. Yeah,
that's why I was like, did it come back? Is it still alive post failed?
There was a big Kotaku story about him, and like then he had to do a video because they were trying to raise more money, and everyone was like, "Well, this Kotaku story says you suck, and you suck big time," and he had to like address it, and it was and it never went great for him after that. All right, let's stay in the Embracer world. And Crystal Dynamics claims Perfect Dark development is going extremely well. This is from Tom Ivan at VGC. Crystal Dynamics has claimed that its co-development work on Xbox's Perfect Dark reboot is progressing extremely well. That's according to Crystal Dynamics and Eidos CEO Phil Rogers, who provided an update on the project during parent company Embracer Group's earnings call on Thursday. It was announced in September 2021 that Xbox had signed Crystal Dynamics to co-develop Perfect Dark, which is the debut game from Microsoft's new in-house studio, The Initiative. We're working on the iconic Perfect Dark game, and the project is going extremely well, is all Rogers kind of said about it. What's been so promising internally is seeing how our team took on this opportunity, a new way of working. If we think about the future of how we work, collaboration across studios, across time zones, across geographies, across different companies, will all become more common. So it is great to see the team at The Initiative and our team across Crystal Studios working so well together. I think that, this is something we've heard from Matt Booty as well, is that this deal is kind of a good thing, and it's gone really well so far. And I'm not too surprised to hear this. I also think it's like Crystal Dynamics is probably pretty happy to like fit in somewhere without having to like make Embracer worry about them, right? Because Embracer could at any moment turn on a dime and be like, okay, we acquired too much, time to start like laying people off. Time to start closing studios, more studios than the one they've already closed. And if like, well, no, we're working extremely well with Microsoft in this new way of the way they're going to want to make games. And if this goes well, Microsoft is almost certainly going to want to continue this in the future. So it's like, that's a guaranteed paycheck right there. That is more certain than being like a hit driven thing where it's like our game has to perform, because that is what's actually on Embracer's bottom line. Right here, it's like Embracer's bottom line is Microsoft pays us a lot of money, and that's very easy to continue if this works out well, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like, and all that is applied to an IP that is being revived and has a lot of future potential. The reason Perfect Dark is back is not only just because people want a new Perfect Dark, is because Microsoft and Xbox saw a future in that franchise, and I think Crystal Dynamics, in getting this opportunity and this partnership, is in a position now where if they do their part and the game is half decent and enough to kind of green light a sequel, like they are on board for
almost certainly
a while. And so like I think everyone there is like, yo, this is kind of the thing that we want to make sure that we're hitting on. It secures the bag for us. And then from there we'll be in a much better position. So yeah, I'm kind of like, I understand why they would say like, oh, it's going super well right now, and I believe them. I bet you they have everyone just being like, make this awesome, everyone, don't screw this up, because if we do it, we get a big payout.
Yes,
and we
it's
get like future
Microsoft really wants it to hit. Having like Perfect Dark come back and be good would be surprising,
major,
but it'd be major. Yeah. It would be really important for them to get another franchise sort of up and running in a way that is like, okay, it's not just Gears of War and Halo and Forza. Now we have Perfect Dark to stand alongside that, and they're trying to do that with this game.
It definitely needs, because like Gears of War's the latest one was like really good, I think. Well, not amazing, but like it was good.
I mean, Hivebusters got really good according to a lot of buddies. So everyone loves that DLC, like talking about it in glowing terms. So it's like they obviously have something that's working for them.
Yeah, Halo is kind of like all over the place right now. And Forza is just like Forza's probably the most consistently good franchise they have.
Yeah.
But it's just not a kind of like barnstormer, kind of everyone's paying attention to it. It just kind of comes and goes in the same way that a sports title would. It's like old,
and it
reliable.
sells like a sports title, which is a lot. Even beyond Game Pass, like that Forza Horizon 5 came out, sold a ton. There were like 1 million copies sold, and that was like the more expensive version of it before, because that got you early access, and there was like 1 million people playing that game even before it was on Game Pass. So clearly it sells, but it's also not in the Game of the Year conversation most of the time.
No, and like they need franchises, they need properties, they need game releases that kind of break through the noise and pull people towards them. And just because like they don't have a lot of mind share when it comes to like first party projects right now. People just kind of think of Microsoft as the company that has Game Pass, and everyone comes there. Sony is kind of like eating their lunch, and even Nintendo to a degree in terms of like mind share for new exclusives. I think like the Hellblade 2 is probably going to be a big one that does some of that work, but they need more than that. They need something to kind of grab people by the shoulders and shake them a bit and be like, this is where we have games that you can't play anywhere else, as opposed to like, we have games that you can play with a subscription fee.
Yeah, it's they need it all, and they will pay Crystal Dynamics handsomely, I'm assuming, to continue helping them with that, because it's hard to hire people. It's still difficult to hire people, even as a lot of more layoffs are happening in the tech industry. It's still going to be pretty hard to hire people who have experience making really good games. Those senior developers are still going to be really difficult to come by. Yeah. All right, Tam, I'm glad you're here. Legacy of Kain, Crystal Dynamics.
Let's go.
Crystal Dynamics
Finally.
says it hears fans loud and clear. It says it hears TAMs loud and clear after 100,000 plus survey responses.
An entire week, 100,000 times.
I assumed, and I'm glad to confirm that here for everybody. This comes from Tom Avon of VGC. Crystal Dynamics has said it received an overwhelming response to a recent survey designed to gauge interest in a potential Legacy of Kain revival. In October, the company launched a questionnaire asking players what they'd like to see should the classic Gothic vampire series make a comeback. On Thursday, the developer claims such surveys usually receive a few thousand responses, but the Legacy of Kain one received more than 100,000. We wanted to gain a community perspective on what players are looking for should we revisit the lands of Nosgoth and our iconic IP Legacy of Kain, Crystal Dynamics and Eidos CEO Phil Rogers said during parent company Embracer Group's earnings call on Thursday. In the past, we found that the surveys typically get between 1,000 and 3,000 responses, but when we asked folks about Legacy of Kain, we received over 100,000 responses. 73,000 gamers completed it entirely, and if you are one of them, we thank you very much, and we appreciate it was quite an effort given the survey was pretty extensive.
It was extensive.
Okay, so you did really fill it out.
I did do it a few times. I'm not kidding. I did do it a few times. I did it a few times from a bunch of email accounts, and it was pretty long. Like, as far as surveys go, I was like, oh, this will take a couple of minutes. But it went in, it was like multiple pages, and they were like, what do you want out of it? Like, which ones do you like? Do you think it should be a remake? Do you think it should be a remaster? Do you want it to be a fresh new game, multiplayer, that kind of stuff? So they had a thorough kind of look at it. As far as I remember, there wasn't any mentions of weird kind of like out of nowhere, you know how they sometimes will be like, what do you think about a mobile game? Would you like an NFT game? Do you like NFTs? And there was none of that in there, and obviously that's nothing to base anything off of, but like, I think my hope is, at the very least, they now have a clear indication of what people don't want as much as what people do. This is the franchise where, if it still belonged to Square Enix, they would 100% do like a shite mobile experience,
right?
Or like some sort of like our new art project that's NFTs but called something else is back, and Legacy of Kain is here too. Like, I feel like they know what people want out of it, and I'm still like not 100% convinced there is going to be a new game. I am more confident now that they have come out and said, wow, 100,000 people are into this. If 100,000 people buy this game, it's still not worth it. Like, it's for them to do, like, they need to put in, they know this is a good start for them, where they know that there are a lot of people that still have awareness of the franchise. They'll still need to market it and develop it to be something that has some sort of potential, mainstream potential, or potential to hit in a big way. So there's a lot of work to be done, and I still don't think it's a guarantee. But this is a good start for the franchise. And I don't know, man. The reason I really love it is because I see the potential of it. Like, there's certain things where you're like, I want this because I'm selfishly want it for me because I like it. I don't think that is the case for this IP. I feel like this IP has like a lot of legs if done right, and if it hits, obviously there's an element of luck to it. But right now, I feel like there's so much, like such a rich history in that franchise, and a rich world in that franchise, that they could do some really cool things with it, and like pick up an audience that grows in a major way.
It feels like it is one of those franchises. Like, okay, a lot of times people get excited about things on the internet, and it's noise and not signal. The thing that I always bring up on some of my shows is Snakes on a Plane. That was a situation where people, they heard the idea, they made jokes about it, and the company was like, well, look at all of these jokes on the internet. Obviously, we need to go back and react to this and put more money into it, make it rated R, and have Samuel L. Jackson say the funny line that everyone's memeing about right now. And then they did all that, and they put it out, and no one actually showed up. I don't believe Legacy of Kain is that. It is... No. It is the opposite thing, where we also see this happen, where something was once popular, and there's a generation of people who did not grow up with it, who have heard about it. And I think if you put something out, and I think this applies to Perfect Dark to a certain extent, I think it applies to Mother Earthbound. I think if you put out a new Earthbound, I think these games would have a chance of just blowing up with new sequels that were built from the ground up to appeal to a modern audience while maintaining the spiritual successorness that a lot of fans want. And I think, Legacy Kain has that potential. And I think 100,000 survey respondents is a good proof of that. How are you feeling, kiddo?
Yeah. I definitely think it's like, it's not a Mirror's Edge 2 situation.
No,
like
exactly.
That's what I don't think it's that. I don't think it's like a vocal, very small group of people who are saying they want a sequel to this game, and then being like, ugh. I mean, like Mirror's Edge 2, didn't take off for a variety of reasons, including the game was a bit hit and miss. But I feel like there's more to be gained from investing in this franchise than just like a quick hit of a nostalgia play. I feel like that if they do it right, if they do it in a considered way, they could have. They're not just building a game, they're like rebuilding a universe that people will be into. There's not a lot of vampire fiction that exists on par with what was laid out in the Legacy of Kain universe. Nothing as intriguing to me. And there's not much going on in the video game world that, is similar to Legacy of Kain. In terms of tone, the style of game, and even like vampire. If we're just doing like a genre thing, there's not a lot of vampire games. Vampire the Masquerade still happening, but like there's not much. Allegedly, there's that one where you're a vampire in a hotel, I guess. But that's pretty much it. I like, as you can probably guess, like I've been thinking about what a new Legacy of Kain game could be, and what they could do to old ones for many years, and like to see that it might finally happen is like super exciting.
Yes, it does. I mean, for them to call it out specifically when Crystal Dynamics gets the chance to speak, I think they're like, listen, we were looking at our opportunities, and obviously we're working with Microsoft, but that's not all we're going to be doing. We do have a lot of IPs that do need tending. I think this moves Legacy of Kain to the top of the list. I think it's very likely that this is the next thing they go to work on.
Yeah, I mean, if I got ideas, if you want them, I'll give them to you for free.
Hell yeah.
Hit me up, Crystal Dynamics.
Marvel's Spider-Man 2 will recast Harry Osborn's voice actor. This comes from Kyle Knight at DualShockers. In a now deleted tweet via Eurogamer, Scott Porter confirmed that he won't be returning as the voice of Harry Osborn in Marvel's Spider-Man 2 by Insomniac Games. The voice actor played the role of Osborn in the 2018 game, but only appeared in the form of audio logs. According to Porter, Insomniac Games has opted to go for a more photoreal actor to play the role of Osborn. Porter says they decided to go for photoreal, and the difference between me and Harry's ages was too much to overcome, I believe, he explained. The voice actor went on to express that he is bummed, but understands the decision made by the development studio. Scott Porter is a guy from Friday Night Lights. That's where I know him from, anyhow, the TV show. But yeah, you know, he's like 40-ish, and I guess that makes your voice look older. I don't actually, Pam, I don't get this. I don't get why do they always recasting people in these Spider-Man games?
I mean, like, they decided to go photoreal, and the difference between me and Harry's age is too much to overcome the voice actor. I mean, like, it is assuming. Yeah, I don't know how age and like that kind of stuff impacts how your voice sounds, but I could see a situation where they're like, yeah, this voice is clear. Like, you wouldn't get Vin Diesel to voice a teenager.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know this Porter guy. What's his name? Kyle?
Scott Porter. Scott Porter.
Yeah. I don't know what he sounds like. I'm assuming he sounds
boyish.
like,
honestly, he sounds boyish.
Does he sound boyish?
Yeah,
like, if he sounds boyish, then that's different. I don't know if I imagine he's performance capture as well, and that might have some impact on it. I honestly, there could be so many different things.
Right.
Like, I just don't have an insight into what level of involvement they have for him, and if he's just, you know, if they're just like, we need to go somewhere else, there could be a completely different reason, and this is like the kind of like one that allows them to publicly address it. He's Heimdall in
he's an actor. He's got range. I don't know what Heimdall sounds like in that game.
Yeah, I mean, Heimdall doesn't sound like a boy.
Sure,
he does sound youngish though.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sure this Scott Porter is talented enough to change his voice to sound younger.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I mean, whatever, man.
It must be some performance capture thing, because they did do this with Peter Parker, right? Where it's like, we had a Peter Parker, and now we are going to change. Or no, they didn't change the voice, right? They just changed the look of
they redid his
character,
face,
but it was still the same voice, right?
I believe it was it you? I don't know if it was Yuri Lowenthal. I think it was Yuri.
Yeah, they just refaced.
But they changed his face to make him look a bit better.
They made him look like
Tom
Holland,
they made him look a bit more boyish.
Yeah.
Instead of how he used to look, which is like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like they needed to de-age him a bit, and also make him look like the other popular Spider-Man.
I think they have ideas about how they should be doing capture and performance capture and voice capture. At Insomniac, and I mean, clearly it's a little bit volatile if you're an actor there, but it's not like it hasn't hurt the games. I still prefer the original Spider-Man, model, but that's just because that's what I played first, so it's what's in my memories. But it's not like the new one hurts the game in any real way. And Insomniac gets a lot of benefit of the doubt. If they feel they need to do this, then go ahead and do it.
Yeah. For all we know, they put him in a mocap suit and he moves like Mr. Burns, and they're like, oh, God.
Right. Yeah, man, this 45-year-old decrepit man. It's disgusting. Yeah. All right.
Hello, Peter. You're pretty good at turning me on.
Excellent. Scalper bots slowly start losing interest in PS5, reports suggest. This comes from Chris Scullion over at VGC. Scalper bots seem to be gradually losing interest in the PlayStation 5, a report by a bot detection specialist has suggested. Netasia has published its latest...
Did a bot write this?
I know, that's what it feels like. Netasia has published its... Netasia just sounds like a bot. It has published its latest quarterly index on the top 5 products targeted by scalper bots, this time covering the third quarter of 2022. For the first time since it was released, the PlayStation 5 no longer appears among the list's top 3 positions. It is number 4. It's behind the Adidas Yeezy Slide Bone, which just is 4 words put next to each other.
No one's buying that anymore. Yeah, interest in that has definitely dropped off.
Well, let me get those slide bones, please. No, that's a hateful shoe. Nike Dunk Low Panda. Again, just 4 words picked out of a fucking hat.
What is happening in the trainers world right now?
I honestly did a bot write reality is kind of how I'm feeling right now. This is just AI just like throwing shit at the wall.
Real quick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need you to put together a giant bomb shoe name right now.
Yeah. Giant bomb penguin farts. That's
there we go.
Yeah, that's
coming soon.
Coming
Get 'em
soon,
on your feet.
everybody. Look out. Okay, none of them. Okay, this is actually might make some more sense. Panini Donru's optic football trading cards. Okay, that's just their.
Panini is a like a card
brand.
and sticker company. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and number
Donru's
4
optic football trading cards. Still.
Yeah.
But
PlayStation 5 is number 4, and then Jordan
how
1
is
retro
PlayStation
loader.
5 the most normal name on this list of products? Remember when PlayStation first came out and people were like, PlayStation?
Yeah.
What kind of weird name is
Sony
that?
doesn't know what they're doing. That's
Little did
silly.
they know all these years later it would be sold next to Adidas Yeezy Slide Bone and Panini Donruss optic football trading cards.
Nike Dunk Low Panda. What? Okay, whatever. Yeah, this is obviously this is for the third quarter. This is before the price increase, and this is before the revision that shrunk the process and enabled Sony to really increase production and meet better meet supply or better meet demand with their supply. So I expect that the report for the Q4 will be like this dropped even more. So there's a quote here. This is the first time the PlayStation 5 has not made the top 3 in our index, a reflection of the slight reduction in bots targeting the console due to stock increases. However, its resale value has remained stable with only a 2% drop since last quarter. I bet that's going to be significantly down in Q4 because Sony is now putting out way more PlayStation 5s than they were before. So I guess some good news, although obviously holiday demand is going to keep that thing pretty difficult to find.
Yeah, the question for me is I'm interested in seeing what impact this has on or for PSVR 2, which is pretty soon, right? Like,
yeah. Those pre-orders sold out immediately, and we're still kind of like keeping an eye on eBay. Like, what's going on over there with those resales?
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But now I think Sony's probably like, thank God, there's going to be more PlayStations out there, which means eventually people will have an interest in buying a VR headset that pairs along with it. Although, like, newcomers aren't going to drop $500 on a PlayStation 5 and then drop another $500 on a VR headset. But at least that availability, like, the big concern was like, there's not enough PlayStations, or PlayStations are so hard to buy that surely that's going to be a problem for PSVR 2. But if like the bots are slowly starting to lose interest and scalpers are slowly starting to lose interest too, that would be a major boon for them. Although like we said at the start, this has massive. A bot is writing this to try and misdirect our attention away from it. Yeah, bots are like, ooh.
We're not a problem anymore. Don't worry about it. Now's the time to act.
Friends.
Go to
would
eBay.
You like a Nike Dunks Low Panda?
Man, sneaker people, do you fall for that? Those names? Does that get you going? Easy slide bone? All right.
It's messed up, man. It reminds me of like graphic cards.
Yeah.
Like, graphics cards are too much now. Just call your graphics cards should be named like Pokemon are. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, or just like people are. Here, this is Gary, my graphics card.
Nvidia is excited to announce the GeForce Andrew.
Yeah. The Jeff. Yeah, it sounds like a graphics card to me.
Everyone's like,
yeah. First time a Jeff's got an applause, absolutely. All right, everybody, let's move on to this review roundup of Pokemon. A lot of these reviews dropped yesterday. I figured we'd kind of go over it now that we've seen some of the reaction from the public as well. GameSpot gave it an 8 out of 10. Jake Decker writes, while undercooked presentation and visual issues hold the game back, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are still the best mainline Pokemon games in years. They build off Pokemon Legends Arceus' open-ended design in some thoughtful and surprising ways, and retain that same level of depth that the mainline series is known for. VGC gave it a 4 out of 5. Every decision Scarlet and Violet makes is a good one. The huge expansion and changes to the single-player campaign are great. The size of the world and the joy of exploration are the best in the series, and the new Pokemon and battle mechanics introduced all sing. However, it's just impossible to shake the thought of how much better the game would feel if it was on more powerful hardware, or simply ran more acceptably on the Switch. And Games Radar gave it a 3 out of 5. The basic mechanics of Pokemon remain largely untouched. It's still catching, battling, and training as you remember it. And while that may be enough for many devotees, Generation 9 is a tougher sell for those who need more of a reason to engage with the series, impacted as it is by technical issues, mechanical oversights, and a lack of vision. So obviously this game is out. Millions of people are already playing it. It's Pokemon. That's how it's going to work. The things I've seen from it, and these things can often be overblown, but it seems to be pretty consistent. I did watch Jam play some last night, and the first thing that stands out is, man, the performance looks rough.
Yeah, I think we've reached the point now where the Switch is like really, really struggling.
Yeah.
Between like Xenoblade was like, okay, this is kind of rough. And then Bayonetta, oh boy.
You see that?
I feel like a lot of Bayonetta snuck through in a way that I was, when I was playing Bayonetta pre-release, I was like, people are gonna have a field day with the way this looks. And it wasn't as bad as I thought, but go back and play Bayonetta 3, that game looks real rough.
It's the environments, right? The environments.
All the characters, most of the characters look good, and then you look in the background and you're like,
ooh, it's like the level, the level of the detail is just not loading. It's kind of what it looked like when I watched gameplay.
And for people like being like, oh, Xenoblade, what are you talking about? Like Xenoblade looked good, but like you could see that it was like, I'm trying so hard to make this look good, and I am holding on for dear life, and they managed to make it work. But now it feels like they're slipping away. Like Bayonetta was like, you look at anything but the characters, and you're like, that is a early Xbox 360 game, like a launch Xbox 360 game, and like environments are kind of like just sparse and like nothing going on. And now you play Pokemon, it's like a middle ground between it. It still looks nice at times, but it is clearly struggling. And I trust Jake when it comes to Pokemon, like wholeheartedly. Like that dude, he's obviously like, we are a team Jan when it comes to Pokemon authorities, but Jake is right there as well. That man is obsessed with Pokemon, and even he was like, yeah, the game is good, but just the performance and the visuals just like falling apart. And it's just, we're at a point where sadly, the first thing I thought was, I hope they re-release this game, which is not a great place to. I don't want to be thinking about that, man. But I really want to play this game. I'm just like tempering my expectations to see something that's going to look a bit weird. And I think the hardest part of the perhaps the most telling part is, it used to be where you're like, oh, it looks rough on a screen. Like if you dock it looks rough, but take it off and everything's squished down and it looks really nice. We're at a point where if you take it off and everything's squished down, it still is like not great.
Yep.
And that's where you're like, oh, now we have a problem. Like now it's very noticeable. Where even on a smaller screen, it's rough.
This is Game Freak's issue. This is a Game Freak issue. I saw Imran Khan out there today saying, where do people get this idea that it's the Pokemon company's fault that they never give Game Freak enough time? It's wrong, and that's basically my understanding as well. The issue here is that Game Freak, it does work under the Pokemon company. They do have to put out a Pokemon game basically every year and a new generation every 3 years, and that's hurt them a little bit. But the real problem is that they have never forced themselves to keep up with where gaming is at. They switched to 3D way after everyone else, and they did not go out and like learn from all the other developers about how to handle 3D. They just like had those growing pains, and they put out games that were in 3D on the 3DS that did not support the optical 3D because they needed all of the extra power just to get the game to run polygons. Now they're making HD games for the first time 10, 15 years after every other developer has switched to HD games. And they are just struggling to figure it out, just like every other developer struggled to figure it out. I had a Pokemon fan as a friend kind of explained that to me recently. I'm like, okay, that's exactly what's happening here. And they're going to have to get figured out because Game Freak just doesn't have the institutional knowledge, and it's kind of wild that they don't. And I don't. It's not laziness; it's just sort of hubris.
Yeah, I don't even if it's hubris. Like we're not privy to the things that force them to Game Freak is a company that we know very little about. Like for as long as this existed, I've never seen a studio feature about what Game Freak is like. Like maybe it's there in Japan, we just don't know. It could be Game Freak could be two people for all you know. and the thing is like it is wild that they're able to just get they've been able to get this far on like design and development like practices that are just outdated beyond belief. Like, it is so old, and it's actually impressive. Like, that a franchise that is as big as that and makes that much money is like being carried by a team that is this behind the times, if you know what I mean. It does definitely, like, it's not like Nintendo can't help out, because Game Freak, I believe, does work with other Nintendo teams, or they have like some sort of relationship with Nintendo where Nintendo will help out with development stuff and guide them a bit and that kind of stuff. But it says a lot that even Nintendo, who does know how to make games like look and perform well, can't step in and be like, we're going to fix this shit for you because you guys have no idea what you're doing.
Right.
It just speaks to the power that Game Freak and the Pokemon Company have in a lot of ways.
But which, as Chad points out, Game Freak owns a third of the Pokemon Company as well. So it's like,
governance. I am 100% blown away that we've got this far with them putting out games that are so behind the times and everyone just being okay with it. But then also we have to consider the fact that, again, we don't know much about them. We don't know what kind of talent they have. We don't know what their hiring is like, availability is like. Also, we need to consider the scale of the games that they're making as well. Like, they're always trying to pack 1 trillion tiny little shiter creatures into these things in worlds that to us seem lo-fi and not great, but still are very vast. Like,
and they're very complicated games, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's been their appeal from the beginning, is they're complex systems that kids can master, and the parents could look at it like, I don't understand what I'm looking at, and that's what makes it magical to kids.
And like even the classic like cart-based games, you know, early like Pokemon Red, Green, Blue, whatever, Yellow, even the stuff that came after on the Game Boy Advance, like they are very big for what, you know, the delivery mechanism and the device that they were going on. Like, they were massive games, and that was part of the charm of them. So who knows? Like, it could be like, yeah, we could make this game look incredible, but we need to cut 500 Pokemon, all the animation, all the stuff that comes with it. And remember last time when we had less Pokemon than people thought? They were trying to kill us. So, you know, it's a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, I still think there's probably just something to it where it's like, if they weren't so confident in their, if they weren't resting on their laurels, right? If they weren't like, hey, we do know the mechanics work, we do know that the appeal of the characters is the big selling point, and we do know that when we put out games that haven't been up to snuff visually in the past, they still sold incredibly well. And even we've had backlashes to not putting everything in, we've still sold incredibly well, often breaking records. So they have a lot of confidence that no matter what they do, what they put out is going to be fine. And so maybe that does not motivate them to do as much as they could. And again, you're right. I have no idea what that looks like how they would do that. I would imagine that it would be bringing in teams of engineers and getting them up to speed. And that also is like, that's a hurdle of its own. And that's sort of like, well, will that change our culture? Will that, spoil the magic of these games in some way? I don't know if that's what they're considering. I do know that at this point, the way this game runs as of today seems pretty unacceptable. It seems like, and if people want to sit out for that reason, they should. And then as I say all that, I know this game's going to sell 10, 15 million copies easy.
Yeah.
And what are we doing here? At a certain point, like I can whine all I want on my podcast here. People spending money is going to be really the thing that sings louder for the Pokemon Company and for Game Freak, for Nintendo.
The sad part is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they have a big history of doing like overhauls and patches that change in a big way. Like, the chances are what we got is what it's going to be like, and they're just going to be like,
they've started putting out DLC for their games instead of doing the third version. Like they do Pokemon Yellow in the past, and they did that for a long time. And for the last generation, they did DLC instead. So maybe the hope is, because they have to sell DLC for this game, they will do improvements. They do not have, as far as I can remember, they don't have a ton of history of doing that. They said, Yulia in chat says the improved performance in the third version of games, i.e. Platinum. Right, that's what they've done in the past. And it's like, well, now they got DLC, so the hope is they would apply that same sort of improvement to the base game, because they're selling DLC, but we'll just have to wait and see. All right, let's get to these polls here from yesterday. Bring that back up. Are you getting the new Pokemon? 40% said yes, 60% said no. I bet that is not an accurate reflection of of Switch owners, maybe more accurate reflection of people who follow me on Twitter. But yeah, that's with 3,200 votes. We'll see. That game's going to be likely way up there on the sales charts. Will be one of the best-selling games of the year. And there's
definitely
a lot of hope for this game just in general about the mechanics. And people will, I think, in many cases, choose to ignore the performance issues, which, as Jake Decker explained in his review, is like, it's possible to do that. Like I enjoyed this game 8 out of 10, and I recognize those issues, but when I'm playing it, it's just it's doing what it needs to for me. And yeah. All right, and I wanted to post a new poll for Monday, which I have right here. Let's see how many accounts our boy Tam has for this one. Do you believe that a new Legacy of Kain is possible from Embracer? Game Mess Mornings. We'll just go yes or no. Well, yes.
Yes, no. Tam sucks.
Let's go with I'm for what is this? And
I'm for what is this?
Tam sucks. There we go. And then we'll go 3 days. There we go. Yep, sounds good. All right, everybody. That poll is getting posted right now. In the meantime, Tam, where can people find you? What do we got going on?
You can find me on the internet everywhere for now. Let's see how long Twitter makes it. Do we have UPF today?
We do have UPF today. We don't have Sekiro Choa, which I saw Jan mention in chat that he's going to be doing that on Monday instead. So after this, we'll be raiding. But we do have UPF. We're going to be playing Warzone 2, as far as I'm aware. But a lot of that depends on Jan being able to get... he's cleaning up the office, everybody. So he's trying to make sure all our stuff gets cleaned up. So
Jan, here's what Jan has to do. He has to go through every bit of equipment that we have accumulated in all our years in that office and figure out how to move it from one office to the other across the city. And let me tell you, that ain't easy.
No, it's not. So he probably will be pretty busy as we approach UPF. Well, he was going to play with us, but we'll see. I'll probably have to end up running it, and that's fine. We're going to make it happen. We just want our boy to be able to get his work done. And so, yeah, UPF, tune in for that, everybody. Tam, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, man. It was really a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. As always, I enjoy... he's packing up all the arcade cabinets and shipping them.
Yes, he's got to pack up the Tekken cabinets and stuff. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I love doing this stuff and chatting with you. And I always, it's whenever I do it, it's Friday, so I'm always here. Like, you know what? I'm gonna just make some mischief. Maybe I'll try not to talk about the news.
That's what I want.
So hopefully I've done that adequately.
More than adequate.
And hopefully we'll do it again. Probably not next week because
definitely not next week. We will be off on Friday. We'll be off on Thursday. So yeah.
Someone in the chat said Tam second only to Mitch, and I would say Mitch. I'm second to Mitch. What? When did this happen?
We'll create some sort of head-to-head battle there.
If I see Mike back in this bitch ever again,
get his ass! Yes. This is what I've wanted. This has been the plan all along, is to get Tam to take out Mitch Tokoto.
I didn't know that I needed to deal with Mitch. Now it's a problem for Mitch.
All right, get his ass. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I really appreciate it. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.